Hey guys, I am Dr. Anthony Gustin.
And I'm Chris Irvin.
And we are coming to you from the Perfect Keto headquarters with question 52 of 268 from our book Keto Answers, which breaks down 268, coincidentally, questions and all of their answers, 268 answers as well. We answered all of them. And this is number 52.
All right, so the question is, will I lose muscle on a ketogenic diet?
You guys just have to look at Chris and realize the answer is absolutely not. So this is one of the things that I think people are afraid of on a ketogenic diet. I think because people think that they need to keep protein ultra low. So maybe some people anecdotally have eaten a ketogenic diet, which is, they think, really high in fat, but really low in protein and really low in carbs. And when that happens, yeah, you might lose some muscle mass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think another really big reason why we think that you're going to lose muscle on keto, I actually think there's two reasons. One is we have this belief that you have to have carbohydrates to maintain and gain muscle, which is not the case. We've seen that in research plenty of times. But the other reason is that there are plenty of studies that do show muscle loss on a ketogenic diet. But it's really important to unpack why we see that. So the easiest way to look at this is that the most common mechanism of testing body composition in research is the DEXA scan. And with DEXA scans, it's very easy to manipulate those numbers with water loss. So we know that when we follow a ketogenic diet, especially in those first couple of weeks, we drop a massive amount of water from low insulin levels. And this can actually be measured as a loss in lean body mass when we're looking at a DEXA scan. So when we talk about keto studies that are 2 to 4 weeks long, that's not going to be enough time for our body to kind of recompensate for a lot of that lost water, and that's going to measure as muscle loss. So just like it's important when we're looking at sports performance to look at longer duration studies, same applies for muscle on keto.
Yeah, so keep protein high. I mean, it's sort of a myth that we've tackled a bunch of different times. Mm-hmm. Your body isn't going to take protein and kick you out of ketosis. That's not how it works. Mm-hmm. It can make glucose or carbohydrates with protein, but that's a demand-driven process. Your body only does it if it needs to have it. So don't limit the protein a lot, and you're not going to do that. But another added benefit about ketones floating in your bloodstream is that they're actually anti-catabolic, meaning
that they are going to prevent the breakdown of muscle.
Yeah, so when you're fasting, for instance, this is one of the reasons why if anybody wants to fast, I recommend do not do it unless you're already in a state of ketosis. So get in ketosis first, and then start your fast, because that way you will minimize as much lean tissue loss as humanly possible.
Yep. Yeah, so these ketones are, you hear a lot of people talk about how keto is this like ancient metabolic state that we have that was part of survival. And there's a lot of truth to that in the sense of, before we had access to food as frequently as we do now, we had to be able to go long periods of time without eating. And ketones become present during that time when we're fasting and during starvation, and those things can prevent muscle breakdown, which is obviously so important, especially when we consider from an ancestral standpoint, having to be able to perform really important physical feats like hunting for your food, but in a very low, calorie state. These ketones are there to help prevent this muscle loss during that time.
Yeah, so if you want to gain muscle, just make sure your protein's up. I mean, there's tons of keto bodybuilders now that we've both seen. Super jacked people like Chris himself.
People a lot bigger than me.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to gain or prevent muscle loss, gain muscle or prevent loss, just eat protein. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, and there's actually some interesting research. The question here we were talking about was losing muscle on keto, but as he just alluded to, you can definitely gain muscle on keto. So one of the things we also know about ketones is there's been some research showing that they can moderately stimulate protein synthesis, which is pretty great for building muscle. And some interesting research is coming out over the last couple of years has actually shown that our myocytes, or our muscle cells, are actually in a kind of a metabolic landscape that is more advantageous for muscle building when we're metabolizing ketones versus when we're metabolizing glucose. So there's actually a little bit better of an ability for these cells to grow when we're using ketones versus not using ketones. So not only will you not lose muscle on a ketogenic diet if you do it the right way, but you can actually gain as well.
Good news.
Get swole.
If you're looking to simplify everything you need to know about the world's most confusing diet, head on over to Amazon.com and pick up Keto Answers today. The best part about it is that you're not just getting basic information. It's almost like you're getting a tiny little version of me and Chris shrunk down, put in your pocket to answer every question you have along your way.
And that's not weird, it's beneficial.
It's the best.